How you doing? So we're indoors today because you might be able to hear that it's extremely windy outside. It's extremely windy. It's very stormy. Storm 85, Awakening 85, Matrix 85, Silver 85. So who have we got in the chat? How you doing? And we're 319 days in, which comes to Thomas Sydney Bushnell 245, which is currency revaluation 245, plus 74 Gematria or DeLorean or English, however you want to do it, but it all comes to 319. So who's in the chat, folks? How you all doing? Good to see you. Hey, Vanessa. Starfire. Oh, bless you. How you doing, folks? Can you feel it? There's something in the air. There is something in the air, and that's why I've got a smile on my face. Even when it's windy and blustery, and believe you me, it's been very blustery out there today. I've closed all the windows. I like fresh air, but I've closed all the windows, but you can still hear the wind and the vibrations outside. So yeah, that's what it is. And I'm looking forward to, I'm doing some live one-on-ones with some of you today, later this evening, with the time difference. So I'll be seeing Tiara later this evening. So I'm looking forward to doing my session with her, so shout out to her. And anybody that wants to do a session with me, a paid session, you've got the email below. Just send me an email and we'll book it. Like I said, right now it's 20% off because it's Black Friday. I'm holding that up until the end of today in terms of getting your booking in. And then I'm doing, like I said, Tiara later this evening. I may do another one after that. And then I've got options for tomorrow, maybe one or two for Sunday. So, and then that'll be the weekend. So anyway, and also as well, you've got my link below. You've got the email, welcome.to.psych.club@gmail.com. I'm always grateful for my YouTube shout outs that I get here. That's an easy way for people to do things, so I appreciate that. If you want to, another option is to send it via PayPal. With PayPal, there's a bit of less of a fee. I keep more of it, which is always appreciated. And I get it instantly. I don't have to wait like kind of 6 weeks for it to come through. Usually it's like the average with YouTube. So if you want to send through YouTube, I'm more than grateful. And thank you to all those that do send those. You know what? How about this? While we're doing the show, anyone that sends a PayPal, I'll actually get a notification. It will come up at the top of the screen while we're talking. So anybody that wants to send a PayPal, I will see it and I'll be able to give you a thumbs up and a shout out to you here live on the show. How's that? Is that fair enough? So why do I feel, and maybe some of you do feel, why do we feel particularly excited about this prospect of something massive coming? So many things in the market, so many things with President Trump. Okay, talking to President Trump, so this is what he said yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. So there's a wonderful clip of him and Melania, and he's wishing everybody basically a happy Christmas. And he says, so let me check this. So he says, he gives a shout out to the 350 million people in the US. Now, let me just check. What is the USA population? I think it's probably a little bit more than that. Might be slightly less, but I don't think it's exactly that number. And this will be significant, and this is why he said it. So let's have a look. Yeah, this is why he said it. Okay. So according to Google, United States population right now, as of 2025, is 347,275,807 people. Now, give or take a few, that might, but the reason President Trump said 350 million is this. This is why he said it, folks, okay? 350 comes to everything Everywhere All at Once. There was a film a few years ago called Everything Everywhere All at Once, 350. My film of the year, anyone has a guess what my film of the year is? It's F1, F1 the movie. F1 the movie is a complete white hat Q film. That's why I watched it 27 times in cinemas this year. And if they show it again in cinemas, I will go and faithfully watch it again. I might even try and watch it online. But at the beginning of that film, where Javier Bardem, his character, who's Ruben Caventes, I think it is, the owner of the F1 team, is talking to Sonny Hayes, the Brad Pitt character, and he says, how deep are you in the hole? He says, don't laugh. They're in the laundrette, okay? So there's the imagery of laundry, maybe washing laundry, money, laundry, all of that stuff. You know, there's many meanings. But he says 350 million. The word million is 84, which is Sunday. The very last race of this year in the real-time F1 season is on Sunday in Abu Dhabi. I did a tweet earlier today. Abu Dhabi is basically it's abundance. It's the beginning of the word of abundance. Saudi Arabia, the sword dance, it all started there, the capitulation talk. President Trump was given the Saudi sword. No one else out of the royal family has ever given that, but President Trump's king of the world doing the roundup. How about perhaps in the Middle East, again, it ends in Abu Dhabi, because the F1 race is the last one of the season, and it's all set up for a dramatic finale, because Max Verstappen could still maybe win it. Max is 38 gold, 38 change, 38 edit, 38. And it'll be his 5th victory if he wins it in terms of world championships. But Abu Dhabi makes me think of Yabba Dabba Doo time. Scooby-Doo ending. I've talked about the Scooby-Doo ending where the masks all come off. But the F1 film, their victory, they turn everything over in that very last race. There's a miracle incident, there's a red flag. Red flag is 53, which is Atlas. Will we see this whole thing with Atlas coming down? Will we see that? And they refer to it as a miracle incident, which allows them the chance to win the race, you see. And then the other film that's come out just in the recent weeks is Now You See Me, Now You Don't. There's a guy called Atlas in there, and they do a revaluation. They even say redistribution at the beginning of the film, a crypto redistribution, a small one. They say a small one. And then, and I guess there was a little bit of that perhaps a couple of weeks ago with Kennedy's date, November 22nd. There were correlation numbers on that with the ISO, but then, and also in the film. But then, fast forward to the end of that film, there's a racing car, and it's the last scene is in Abu Dhabi. It's not actually the race, but they're in Abu Dhabi. They're doing an event, kind of almost like a media event, and they have the racing car, and it's number 17, which is Q. But then they seal it all up, and the baddies are caught, the Scooby-Doo ending, the curtain is dropped, the reveal takes place, but there's also a return of wealth. Particularly with South Africa. South Africa, yeah. You've got Zimbabwe close to there and all the rest. Anyway, so there's 3 correlations on this weekend. But President Trump said 350 million, which is a direct quote from the beginning opening scene of that F1 film, 350 million. And the US population is not actually technically 350 million. According to this, it's 347 million. So President Trump could have said 347 million, but he's coding and telling us that we're on course. We're on course. We had the whole Black Swan event right at the last moments of October 19th with the Amazon Swan. Amazon, AWS, the Swan backwards. That's an ad that's placed in the F1 track. There's also an ad called Atlas something as well. So there are the subtle cues, there are subtle hints that we're on track. So something is coming, folks, and I don't know exactly what it is. I have my ideas on it, but I'm open to whatever they're going to pull. But that's why I can feel it. I can feel something is coming. And who knows, why not this weekend? The other thing, as I've said before, with December 7th is President Trump's, if he was adopted, if he was born to, if he was the son of Patton, and who knows, there's at least two Trumps. There's many, but there's at least two, real Donald Trump and POTUS. Maybe one was born to one and maybe one was born to the other. Anything is possible, folks. Because you have the Christ line with the Trumps, the time travel with Tesla, and then the military aspect, and it's looking like perhaps the RV aspect with General Patton. The other thing is when I saw President Trump physically, I've seen him a few times physically, but when I saw him speak at the rally in Iowa, those Iowa State Fairgrounds, that comes to 245, which comes to Thomas Sidney Bushnell, but also comes to currency revaluation 245. And he played clips from the Patton film before he got on stage. Patton is featured in my movie script that I wrote before COVID, before the numbers came. Not before I met Ivanka, it was after then, but before 2020. And I spoke about it again a few days ago when I came back in and I flipped the TV on, and it might have already been on, I think it was. And then Patton, the film was on. I didn't know it was coming on, but it was. So anyway, so there are these subtle cues, these subtle references, folks. So something is threading us through that eye of the needle for December 7th. So let's just see, let's wait and see what comes and enjoy the show and enjoy the popcorn. But we have correlations on it, and then President Trump himself has already said 350 million. We'll find out what that means, but it is a direct correlation to the beginning of that F1 film, which has been the film of the year from my perspective. So we'll see what happens, folks. We'll see. It's exciting. That's why I can feel it in my bones. I can feel something, even though when it's raining and it's blustery and it's cold and it's dark and it's wet, and still there's reasons to be cheerful, you see. So that's what it is, folks. That's what it is. And we will find out. We will find out soon enough what's coming. Yeah. So, how's everyone doing anyway? Who's in? Come in at what film? What are you saying? It's coming in late. What film is? We're talking about the F1 film. How long have I been doing numbers? Well, I started, the numbers came to me like a stream of consciousness, basically the first couple of weeks of COVID, so 2020. I've looked back, there were smaller pieces of numbers back in 2015 when I met Ivanka Trump and my cousin Paul passed away. I got my first number, which was 118, which is his date of birth, January 18th. So I've spoken about that many times. But when the numbers came in, I got the alphanumeric connection, the gematria. I didn't even know it was called gematria. That came in the first few weeks of COVID. So does that answer your question? Hey Wendy, Sarah, Diane, good to see you. What this way comes. I think that's a film, isn't it? Sounds familiar. Well, 9/11 has to be reversed at some point, you see. That was an 11/9, which is also October 19th. That's when I think we were confirmed that we were on this timeline. We've got 205 in the chat, which is my grandmother. I am Mary Adelaide Wood. 202 is also 202 is, yeah, it's the ripple effect without the apostrophe, which is also the 7th of December, 202. 210, we got 41 thumbs up. 41 is coin, 41 is USA, 41 is good, 41 is alien. How many aliens in the US? Apparently New York is a hub for aliens. There's probably no coincidence that I got my first numbers there when I was in New York back in 2015. Hey Nat. That's it, thanks folks, hit the hype button. So something is coming, folks, that's the thing. And that's been the beauty of all this. We're going down a track. And we're on target. And like spot the ball in soccer and football, you can put the ball in 100 different places, but nevertheless it crosses the goal line. And that's been my experience throughout all this, and that's been my experience with you guys and girls as we do the numbers. But we're on the field and we know where the goal is, and we get these balls that cross the line. Sometimes we get them direct. Sometimes it's just good enough to get the ball across the goal line. But others, bless them, aren't even on the field, and they don't even know there's a goal. They're not even in the stadium. So, but that's been my experience with it, with this whole Ascension process. Remember, the fifth dimension's 184 in numbers. Remember, smart contracts is 184 in numbers. Deoxyribonucleic, as in DNA, is 184 in numbers. Fourth density is 184. And also, and she will come to the front, is the Princess of Wales, 184. So, what should I say, Princess of Wales? Princess of Wales is 184. The Princess of Wales is 217, which is Lady Diana Frances Spencer 217, which is Tom Sidney Bushnell, Mission Impossible, Houses of Parliament, where the Q bus stop is across the street at the feet of Abraham Lincoln. Who put the Q bus stop in Parliament Square? Someone did. Was it me? Was it my future self? Someone did it. I found it early lockdown. So that's how it goes, folks. Anyway, lots of love and blessings to you. I'll see you tomorrow. Let's enjoy the F1 race. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Whatever comes, we're on track. Whether something big is then, unless we get to the next post and we go on to another one, and that will pop up like a big kind of pop-up book, like a Hansel and Gretel pop-up book. It will tell us what's next. But at some point, something is coming, and so why not this weekend? They're telling us about this weekend for some reason, so let's enjoy it. So, anyway, folks, lots of love. Like I said, if you want to book 20% off right now, my sessions aren't cheap. I can only take a limited amount, but I give you the best of the best. So if you're a fan of my work and if you want to get your own personal numbers, which can affect your destiny, then email me and we'll do it together. So God bless you. All right, folks, lots of love. You take care. Bye.